I don't know how many of you remember Harry Enfield's character, Kevin the teenager. Kevin would always say, "It's so unfair." Let's not be dishonest. There's a corresponding stereotype in the parent who inevitably responds by saying, well, life's not fair. Also, in the interest of honesty, there are certain situations in places I've worked and in life in general which provoke in me a raw and immediate sense of injustice that I have to admit feels pretty Kevin-like. Real, not without justification, but juvenile nonetheless. At least I'm able to keep those feelings to myself and respond without betraying what's going on inside, most of the time, I think. If I were one of the workers in the vineyard who just put in a full day of grueling work and then been told to wait in line behind those who'd only done an hour, and then seen that they were getting paid the same amount as me, that would certainly have provoked those feelings in me. But look at it this way. Those people receiving their pay first, having laboured for a short time, they would have been the same people I'd been waiting alongside that morning, all of us hoping to get a day's work, none of us any more deserving than the other. When I'd been hired and they had not been, I'd probably have felt that was fine, just the luck of the draw. Justice and the question of judgment that arises from it are persistent concerns in Matthew's Gospel. In today's reading, the master of the vineyard sees what is happening and says, well, what are you going to do about it? To the grumbling labourer. He says, take what belongs to you and go. I choose to give to this last the same as I give to you. Am I not allowed to do what I choose with what belongs to me? Again, let's look at it from another perspective. We're talking about subsistence wages here. That's what it was like for day labourers in first century Palestine. It's what it's like people on 0 hours contracts today. So in fact, the owner of the vineyard is saying to those who were hired last, this evening you and your family will be able to eat after all. So it is a vision of a society in which everyone has enough, of a society in which the luck or otherwise of the draw is irrelevant. And those who worked only an hour, presumably, had spent all those preceding hours waiting, powerless to do anything about their situation. That would not have been an interesting or exciting kind of waiting, which speaks to our own situation, I would say. We wait for what happens next with coronavirus, with the threat of a no-deal Brexit. I don't think I've ever felt so lacking in agency in my adult life as I do at the moment. Perhaps we are not used to being quite so powerless. It is interesting that the owner of the vineyard went out, the text says, 5 times to look for workers. The verb for this, exalthen, is the same used for the self-emptying love revealed in the incarnation. As St. Paul wrote to the Philippians, though he was in the form of God, he emptied himself, being born in human likeness. So what matters is not just that the grapes are harvested, but that everyone is included. No one is judged and found deserving of being ignored or forgotten or excluded. It matters so much that the owner of the vineyard empties himself into the task of going out and finding them. Today's parable starts with the phrase, for the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire labourers for his vineyard. So the kingdom of heaven is like everyone having dignity. It is like everyone being included, everyone sought after, worth the effort of going out all those times to be sought for and brought inside to a place of belonging. And the kingdom of heaven is like when people like us are prepared to experience raw, pure, Kevin the teenager outrage, not just at things that inconvenience us, but at systemic injustice in society, and therefore take action. Amen.